There is a rule inside the Supreme Court called the Rule of Four. It appears in no statute you've ever read. No congressional vote created it, no president signed it, and it has quietly decided which cases become the law of this country since 1925, using a threshold the justices invented for themselves and never had to justify to anyone. Here's what it actually is. The Supreme Court receives more than 7,000 petitions a year asking it to hear a case. It hears about 60. The mechanism that filters those 7,000 down to 60 is called certiorari, the court agreeing to review your case at all. And the number of justices required to grant that review isn't 9, and it isn't a majority of 5. It's 4. 4 justices out of 9 can force the entire court to hear a case the other 5 don't want to touch. Or 4 can let a lower court's ruling stand forever by simply staying silent. Either way, the outcome that reaches you, the citizen, the defendant, the business owner, was shaped by a headcount nobody wrote down as binding. The reason this exists without a vote traces back to 1925, to a piece of legislation called the Judiciary Act. Lawyers call it the Judge's Bill. Congress, exhausted by an overloaded Supreme Court docket, handed the justices something almost no other court in America has: the discretion to choose their own cases. Congress wrote the discretion into law. What Congress did not write was how the justices would use it. That part, the actual threshold, the number 4, was decided privately, inside the building, by the justices themselves, and only became public knowledge because a few of them mentioned it in speeches and opinions years later. It was never voted on by anyone outside that room. It didn't need to be. Congress had already given away the pen. And here's who controls it now: not Congress, not the public, not even the full court. 9 people control it, but only 4 are ever required to act. That means a determined minority, 4 justices who share a legal philosophy, can single-handedly put any case on the national docket, regardless of what the other 5 think. It also means the reverse. 4 justices can quietly decline to hear a case with enormous consequences, and no public vote, no dissent, no explanation is required. The docket of the United States Supreme Court, the single most consequential legal filter in the country, runs on an internal number that isn't law. Remember, no one voted for this. Not you, not your representative, not even most of Congress alive today. The way this actually reaches you looks like this. Say a lower federal court upholds a law restricting something you do for a living, or strikes down a protection you rely on. You appeal. Your case, along with thousands like it, lands in a private conference where 9 people go around a table, and each casts an unrecorded vote on whether to even look at it. If 4 say yes, your case becomes American law for the next generation. If only 3 say yes, it doesn't. There is no written appeal from that decision. There is no explanation given to you. The denial of certiorari isn't even legally a ruling on the merits. Courts have said for decades that it means nothing about whether your case was right or wrong. It simply means it stops there. 4 people, working from a number with no statutory home, decided the Constitution stays exactly where the lower court left it for you, and for everyone in a similar position, indefinitely. Here's the part that should actually worry you: it's completely legal. Nothing about the Rule of 4 violates any law, because no law ever specified a number in the first place. Congress could pass a statute tomorrow requiring 5 votes, or 3, or a public tally of every cert decision. It hasn't in 100 years, because the discretion it handed over in 1925 was total. That is the structural lock. You cannot repeal a custom that was never legislated. There is nothing on the books to strike down, no clause to challenge in court, no agency rule to file a comment against. The court simply continues doing what it has always done, and every external body that might normally check that power has no formal mechanism to reach it. What this really tells you is bigger than one voting threshold. It tells you that some of the most consequential decision-making structures in American government were never legislated at all. They were adopted quietly by the people who benefit from having the discretion, and they persist for exactly one reason. No one wrote them down where they could be undone. The Rule of 4 is one filter. It is very likely not the only one. So the real question isn't how 4 justices decide your case. It's how many other rooms in this government are running on a number nobody ever voted on, and whether you'd even recognize one if you saw it.